Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 3 of the Realistic Rebuild series featuring the Baltimore Panthers. Last episode, we simulated the first month of basketball, and we are sitting at a solid record of 8 and 10. Because of an injury to Wiggins, the starting lineup has changed. Brown, Houston, Kamara, Bagley, and Reed at the starting five, and Wood as my sixth man, with Dunn getting increased minutes because of his fire play, alongside Shannon Jr., who will receive more minutes as well. Wiggins out for 2 to 4 weeks because of a back injury, and James Bouknight out for 1 to 2 weeks with a sprained knee. A narrow loss against the Golden State Warriors, where we had our scoring leader be Christian Wood with 19-6 off the bench, Brown with 14 and 3. Pretty solid game from Bagley as well, 12 and 7. And Reed had 3 stocks. Ryan Dunn all the way in the bottom, 6 points, 2 rebounds, and ones across the board with 2 stocks finish. That's a pretty good performance, in my opinion, from him. Despite the 26-point loss to the Miami Heat, I wanted to highlight this performance from Pacome Dadier, 14, 5, and 1 assists in just 25 minutes is a pretty decent performance. Unfortunately, Jaden Hardy will have to deal with an injury, pulled right hamstring. He'll be out for 2 to 4 weeks. Luckily for me, James Bouknight came back from his injury, so he was able to get his minutes. And with his first game back from injury, 17, 5, and 4, with 5 of 11 shooting. Unfortunately, he did have 4 turnovers, but I'm looking at the positives more than the negatives. It was also a big blowout loss once again, but this is a good thing as I'm aiming for a top 3 pick this year. After a tough loss to the Boston Celtics, we faced off against the Miami Heat, where Christian Wood put up a very solid 23.6 rebounds and 2 blocks off the bench. He's definitely increasing his trade value and will probably get traded sooner than later. We also had 6 players score above double digits, which is an amazing accomplishment for my team. All right, it's finally time to do our scouting report for the 2025 NBA draft class. 2 prospects stood out to me when I was doing my initial look through: Stevie Johnson and Steve Forbes. Both of them are versatile players that can run multiple positions. Steve Forbes is more versatile as he can run 3 positions, although he is 22 years old. Those two are definitely worth a top 3 selection, and I also want to send out some extra scouts to check out first round talent, some sleepers, and some around the 20th overall pick. Here is a very nice win against the Philadelphia 76ers, where Tumani Kamara was on top of the scoring leaders with 16 points, 8 rebounds, and 1 assist. Our players also had good production. One thing I wanted to highlight is Ryan Dunn, 2 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and 5 steals to go alongside a block as well. 6 total stocks, which is amazing. Unfortunately, he did shoot 0 for 5, but 6 stocks is insane. I have a feeling once we can develop his offensive game to the point where it's compatible to be a starter and he gets those minutes, he could definitely run for Defensive Player of the Year. Then again, with how broken Wembanyama is in this game, it might be a difficult challenge to overcome, but it's definitely doable. Jaden Hardy is also back from his injury, and given Zhu Zhang's lack of production, I think I'll reduce his minutes. I'll also reduce the minutes of Jordan and Batum, and also Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown has been struggling as the number 1 option of this team ever since Wiggins got injured. So I'll give Brown a reduced role off the bench. Hopefully he can regain some confidence and also play well to develop his trade value. Wiggins had also came back from his injury, and I decided to slide him over to the small forward position with the backup power forward, and I slid Tumani Kamara back to his power forward position with the backup small forward. A game up against the Phoenix Suns. Before that, Wiggins at the small forward and Kamara at the power forward. And let's go up against the Phoenix Suns to see how this game goes. We end this game with a 95-86 victory with Christian Wood off the bench, 20 points in just 12 minutes. James Bouknight with 16 points in 19 minutes, and Ryan Dunn had himself a career night, shooting 5 for 5 from the field against his former team, technically 11 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. That is his career high. I did check it. Man, just take a look at that per 36 defensive numbers. Oh, man. Once we can develop his offensive game, it's game over for the Defensive Player of the Year candidacy. Toumani Camara, with his first game as a power forward, put up 7 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, and 5 stocks. Wiggins, in his first game back, only shot the ball twice, 2 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal. I decided to simulate this Atlanta game, and unfortunately, Aaron Wiggins, with another injury just 2 games back from his initial injury, a broken vertebrae, will be out for 4 to 6 months. This is a terrible, devastating injury for such a young player. It could potentially pose a threat to his career. With him being out for so long, I need to figure out a temporary solution for the small forward or power forward position. I thought I'd slide Camara to the small forward and start Christian Wood instead of Bagley, because Bagley's numbers were lower as a starter opposed to a backup center. I made some minor changes to the rotation, and I got this trade offer from the New Orleans Pelicans: Christian Wood and DeAndre Jordan for Jeremiah Robinson Earl and Matkovic. Definitely a decent offer, but I'd rather get a pick out of Christian Wood, so I continued looking for trades. A very tight game against the Seattle Supersonics, and we managed to pull off the win at home. I wanted to take a look at the last second of the game log, and Toumani Camara hit a game-winning buzzer-beating layup. 17 points, 8 done assists for the win. Toumani Camara has definitely been our best player as of lately, putting up 17, 5, and 4, and the game-winning layup. We also had 6 players once again score above double digits, and shout out to Ryan Dunn for putting up 4 stocks. At the start of the new year, we're sitting at the record of 16 and 17, 33 games played, and our leading scorer is Christian Wood with 14 and a half in just under 20 minutes. That is very impressive. He's definitely building up his trade value. Wiggins, Bagley, Camara averaging double digits. Reed, Hardy, and Houston not too far behind them, and Shannon as well with 8.6. Bruce Brown has been very disappointing thus far, only averaging 7 points per game. He has been terrible. Definitely a trade candidate. Unfortunately, he is plummeting his trade value. Our rebounds leader is Paul Reed with 7.5, Bagley with 6.5, Camara with 6, Wood with 5, and Wiggins with 3.5. Our assist leaders are absolutely lackluster. Nobody above 3 assists per game, as Houston is right about there at 2.9, Hardy right behind him at 2.8, Brown only 2, Wiggins 2, Camara 1.8. We have 4 players that are above a steal a game. Shout out to Reed, Camara, Dunn, and Wiggins. Shout out to Dunn especially, who gets 1.1 steals per game, and he gets 14 less minutes than some of the other starters on the team. Shout out to Shannon Jr. as well, who gets 0.9. Nobody above a block per game, but Bagley, Reed, Dunn, and Wood amongst the top for blocks per game as well. And here are our most efficient 3-point shooters. 39% for Toumani Camara with only 2 attempts per game. That's not the most craziest efficiency, but it's still decent. Wiggins with 39, Shannon with 38, and Houston with 35, while everybody else is under the league average. The New Orleans Pelicans decided to throw me a decent trade offer for Christian Wood, but I decided to modify it. The Pelicans at the moment lack a true starting center, and Christian Wood could be that for them. Moving forward, Nicholas Batum can be a very good backup player for them, and DeAndre Jordan a straight-up enforcer, and a good locker room presence. In exchange for their services, I receive a 2028 first round pick unprotected, Jeremiah Robinson Earl, 24 years old, a pretty decent player, and Matt Ryan. The Pelicans also throw in a $12 million trade exception, meaning that they save extra money as well doing this trade. So let's just shake hands with them, and this will become the first ever trade in Baltimore Panthers history. With the extra roster spot, I decided to bring in a playmaker, and Markelle Fultz was the best available one at an A minus. I'm gonna give him a 2+1 front deal, $6.74 million with a team option at the end. Fultz happily accepts to the contract offer, and congratulations on being the second ever free agent acquisition by the Baltimore Panthers. My initial plan is to bring Fultz off the bench for him to get into game shape. Meanwhile, I'll start Brown. With his excellent defensive numbers as a backup player, I'm very curious to see what Ryan Dunn does as a starter. So I'm going to give him about 25 minutes a night and see what he does alongside Toumani Camara. Also, one thing I forgot to show is the coach was recommending starting Bagley, but I'm going to continue starting Reed over him. Fultz will also receive about 16 minutes per night, and I'll ease him into the starting lineup eventually. Matt Ryan will be a reserve for now, and he'll probably get a minute here or there in case of injury. And there goes an injury to Caleb Houston. This is a trade that I've cooked up. Bruce Brown, Marvin Bagley, Matt Ryan, Johnny Juzang, and 2 future second-round picks for the veteran presence of Jeff Green, Brandon Clark, and Frank Ntilikina, alongside a 2025 first-round pick from Memphis, a 2026 pick swap in the second round, and also a trade exception while Memphis will save a couple $1 million. With the expansion draft, the Memphis Grizzlies lost out on their backup shooting guard, so they had a big hole at that position. Bruce Brown will fit in seamlessly at that position, and the Memphis Grizzlies also had a hole at the center position because Jaren Jackson Jr. was out for the remaining of the season with an injury. So Marvin Bagley could come in and be a backup to Zach Edey, or even potentially start alongside Edey. Matt Ryan comes in as a solid 3-point shooter, and Ju Zhang comes in as a 23-year-old sniper that could develop into a decent role player. The Memphis Grizzlies also acquire these players under the condition that they will become free agents next season so that they could play around in the 2025 free agency. I take on a lot of contract in this trade, so taking on that pick is definitely worth it. We shake hands with the Memphis Grizzlies and get the deal done. Congratulations. Our point guards at the moment, Markelle Fultz, Jaden Hardy, and Frank Ntilikina. Ntilikina will probably either be bought out or waived, and unfortunately, since I can't buy out players in 2K, he'll definitely be waived. But I'll keep him around for a little bit and see how he plays because of his good perimeter defense and mid-range shots. Our shooting guards is Terrence Shannon Jr., James Bouknight, and Caleb Houston. Definitely very decent at this position at the moment. Our small forward position is definitely a bit lackluster at the moment, with Daddy A being our only small forward available to play, but Toumani Camara has definitely been filling in at that position. Wiggins' recovery has also been going good, as he only has 4 to 6 weeks left to his injury. Our power forward positions at the moment, Toumani Camara, Jeff Green, Jeremiah Robinson Earl, and Ryan Dunn. Although at the moment, Camara and Dunn have been starting together. And our center positions are Brandon Clark and Paul Reed, with Jeremiah Robinson Earl also providing a couple minutes as the third string center. Clark being only 28 years old and so versatile at different skills, he could definitely be a good candidate to be traded in the offseason. Here's what the starting lineup will look like. Markelle Fultz, Terrence Shannon Jr., Toumani Camara, Ryan Dunn, and Paul Reed at the starting unit, and Brandon Clark as the sixth man of the team. The rest of the minutes will look like this, with Daddy A, Bouknight, Jeremiah Robinson Earl, Houston, and Ntilikina getting more than 12 minutes per night each, and Jeff Green will be my reserve. The game against the Memphis Grizzlies, a team that we made a trade with, went pretty decently. Unfortunately, we did end up losing. Fultz with 20, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 stocks. Robinson Earl, 13 in just 15 minutes. Brendan Clark, 12 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists in 20 minutes. And we also had 6 players in double digit scoring. On the other side of the box score is Gigi Jackson with 31 points. Brown off the bench had a very good shooting night, 5 for 6, 12 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists. And Bagley, as the starter, put up 10, 7, and 3 with a block as well. After a lot of L's, we're projected the 6th overall pick, which is still a little too high for my liking. I want to sneak into that top 3 and get either Johnson or Forbes. Anyways, man, I'm going to end the video here at the trade deadline with a record of 20 and 32. Thank you for watching episode 3. If you haven't checked out the last 2 episodes, please do so. Comment, like, and subscribe as it helps me out on this YouTube space. Appreciate you and be on the lookout for episode 4 coming soon. Peace.